And how important to this sense of commitment is the return of France to the NATO Military Committee, now a full member of the NATO alliance?
Well, it certainly has heavy symbolic and political significance. It ends decades of a slightly awkward relationship between France and NATO, in which France essentially participated in the business of NATO operations. There are 3,000 French troops on the ground in Afghanistan already, so in a sense it doesn't change that. But it does bring France back into the fold. It perhaps will help to sweep away some of the rather stale old debate about Europe versus NATO to somehow contradictory defense strategies. Now that France is back in, I think some Americans are hoping that there'll be less talk of separate directions in that sense. So I think there is symbolic significance, and I think it's felicitous that this has happened, on the eve of this 60th anniversary summit. It gives it a somewhat festive occasion and sets the scene for this rather unusual summit, in which it's started on one side of the river, has crossed over the Rhine into Germany, and then returns for the proper business of talking about Afghanistan tomorrow.
Well, as we're watching Barack Obama and Angela Merkel walk in the bright sunshine in Baden-Baden, Michelle Obama, of course, also there, and Angela Merkel's husband, followed by a huge entourage of both. And of course, one mustn't lose sight as well about how the relationship between Germany and the United States has improved so fundamentally since the strains of the Iraq War in 2003.
Absolutely. You remember those days, the famous speech by Joschka Fischer, then the German foreign minister, saying to, I think, Donald Rumsfeld at a security meeting in Munich, where's the proof? Why are you doing this? Do you appreciate the dangers involved in this headlong descent into war with Iraq? Those days, those dark days, I think are long gone, and I think that was very much at the heart of what President Obama was saying when he said that the US had shown arrogance and dismissiveness towards Europe, and Europe, for its part, he said, had shown casual, insidious anti-Americanism. President Obama is saying, I'm different, the world is a different place now, we can leave all that behind us, and frankly, we have to, because this business in Afghanistan, it's not just about American security, it's not just about what happened on 9/11. The next Al-Qaeda attack, he said already twice to an audience here today, could just as easily, in fact, more easily come on European soil than on American soil. This is about common security, and therefore it is incumbent on us all to put aside, and once and for all, these rather petty and divisive enmities and get on with the serious business at hand.
Well, Paul, judging by these images now, the handshaking going on, the smiles and among the Germans who've gathered here to say hello to Barack Obama and his wife, Michelle, the American president must be very much hoping that this has a lasting and a more fundamental impact. The kind of opinion polls in Germany which say that a very, very small percentage of Germans believe that the war in Afghanistan is a war that concerns them. They see it very much as America's war. That will have to change if the approach of Germany and the alliance in general is to change.
Yes, I think there is an awareness in America that for many people in Europe who have not yet been touched by mass acts of terrorism in the way that the United States and Britain have, that somehow people in continental Europe don't quite get the connection between this distant, difficult conflict in Afghanistan and the security of ordinary men and women walking about the streets of Paris, of Berlin, and of Rome. And so President Obama has come with this very forceful message saying it is about our common security. And I think the people around him must watch these scenes, the extraordinary scenes of goodwill that just follow him about like fluffy clouds, and must be hoping that with the goodwill comes a renewed sense of America's moral authority. And this is something which I think Europeans are responding to. They did when President Obama came and spoke in Berlin, even as a candidate. And certainly the near hysteria which you're seeing now, both in Germany and earlier here at the town hall meeting in Strasbourg, with an enormous rapturous reception for President Obama, and huge cheers when he spoke about ridding the world of nuclear weapons, of closing Guantanamo Bay, and of ending torture. America's moral standing, which by the president's own admission through the terrible affair of Abu Ghraib and so forth, that moral reputation which had really sunk very, very low indeed, has now risen sharply, really on the shoulders of one man and some things that he has said since coming into office. People will need to be skeptical. They'll need to watch and see how he actually carries out these pledges. But for the time being, it's almost enough just that he makes them.
Indeed. Now, Paul, we've just seen them going inside these splendid buildings in Baden-Baden. The rest of the entourage going in. We can see Hillary Clinton, of course, also wearing pink, like Angela Merkel. All of the officials accompanying both Angela Merkel and Barack Obama now going inside, no doubt for some talks. The U.S. president held talks earlier in the day with the French President Nicolas Sarkozy, and that's going to bring an end to that live coverage for now. Paul Adams, thank you very much again for joining us to talk about the challenges facing NATO. We'll be speaking to you again, but we'll say goodbye for now. Well, many of the leaders who will be attending the Strasbourg NATO summit are basking in the success of their G20 talks in London. President Lula of Brazil, for example, in an interview with the BBC's Gavin Esler, said rich countries had been humbled by the financial crisis and had now accepted emerging nations like his on equal terms.
I believe that it was good, not only for Brazil or for one sole country or a single country. I believe that the meeting was a good one for the hopes and for the future of humanity. The rich countries, developed countries, that up to then thought that they knew everything about everything. They were the victims of how careless they were in terms of the role for the state or for the government. That was a good meeting. Why it was a good meeting? Because the rich countries were there very humbly, vis-à-vis the developing countries, discussing in equal terms. And so I believe that this is the phenomenon that we saw in this meeting. Everybody was much more humble, everybody had no certainty, and everybody wanted to get rid of the crisis. And so that's why we managed to reach a good result.
Lula da Silva speaking to the BBC's Gavin Esler.